Yesterday, Apple held the most important product event in years. For 2 hours, executives took the stage and showed the world what is coming to every iPhone, Mac, and iPad this fall. iOS 27, a completely rebuilt Siri, third-party AI models on your phone, new hardware, new software. The audience applauded, social media exploded. The tech press called it transformative, and most of it was impressive. But today, I am going to tell you the 5 things Apple deliberately did not say. Because what Apple hid is more important than what Apple showed. Let me start with what Apple did announce. Because credit where credit is due, some of this is genuinely significant. Siri has been completely rebuilt. After 14 years as a basic voice assistant that could barely set a timer, Siri is now a full conversational AI chatbot. It has its own standalone app. You can type to it, you can have back-and-forth conversations. It remembers what you said earlier. It integrates into the dynamic island at the top of your screen with a new dark interface. Apple calls all systems glow. This is not a small update. This is Apple admitting that the old Siri was broken and replacing it with something fundamentally different. And the new version is powered by Google's Gemini model with 1.2 trillion parameters. We covered that deal in depth yesterday on Kelvorix. But the announcement that matters most to your daily life is something Apple calls extensions. Starting this fall with iOS 27, you will be able to go to the App Store, download Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, or any other AI model, and set it as the brain behind Siri. The interface stays the same. The animations stay the same. But the intelligence behind every response changes to whatever you choose. This means when you ask Siri to summarize your email, it could be Claude doing the thinking. When you ask Siri to rewrite a message, it could be ChatGPT crafting the words. Same phone, same Siri bubble, completely different brain. Apple presented this as giving you choice, and it is. For the first time in iPhone history, you actually decide how smart your phone is. Now here is thing number 1 that Apple did not tell you. The extension system will probably not be ready at launch. Apple announced it, Apple showed demos. But the extensions framework requires AI companies to build compatible apps. Claude needs to develop an Apple extension. ChatGPT needs to build one. Gemini already has one through Google's deal, but third-party options may take months after iOS 27 launches. So you will get the new Siri interface this fall. But you might not be able to actually choose a different AI brain until early 2027. Apple did not mention that timeline on stage. Thing number 2, the Google Gemini deal. Apple mentioned Google exactly 1 time during the entire 2-hour keynote. 1 sentence. No details about the $1 billion per year contract. No explanation of what data flows to Google servers. No discussion of how this contradicts 10 years of privacy. That's iPhone marketing. They mentioned Google once and moved on, hoping you would not notice that the most private phone on Earth now runs the most data-hungry company's AI as its default intelligence. Thing number 3. Apple never mentioned the $250 million settlement. In early 2026, Apple paid $250 million to settle claims that Apple Intelligence was marketed with capabilities it could not deliver. That settlement is the reason the new Siri exists. Apple Intelligence failed so badly that it cost them $250 million in legal fees. At WWDC, Apple presented the rebuilt Siri and new AI features as if the old ones never existed. No acknowledgement of the failure. No apology to the millions of users who relied on features that did not work. Just a fresh start, presented with a smile. Thing number 4, the privacy disclaimer. When you activate a third-party AI extension, Apple will show you a disclaimer. Reports indicate it will say something like, Apple is not responsible for content created by third-party AI models. Your data may be processed on external servers. Read that one more time. Apple is not responsible. For a decade, Apple's entire brand was built on being responsible for your data. Now they are putting a disclaimer on the most important feature of iOS 27 that says the opposite. Every extension you activate is a door you open. Your emails, your documents, your calendar, your photos all flowing to servers owned by Anthropic, Google, or OpenAI, companies with very different privacy policies than Apple. And thing number 5, Tim Cook. Apple briefly mentioned the leadership transition, Tim Cook stepping down, John Ternus taking over. They framed it as a natural evolution, a planned succession. They did not mention that Cook's departure is directly connected to Apple's failure in AI. Under Cook's leadership, Apple fell years behind Google, OpenAI, and Anthropic in artificial intelligence. Siri became a punchline. Apple Intelligence became a legal liability. The company that once defined the future of technology had to pay its biggest rival $1 billion a year for the intelligence it could not build. Cook is leaving because the most important technology shift since the smartphone happened on his watch, and Apple missed it. So here is the honest assessment. What Apple announced yesterday is genuinely impressive. The new Siri is a real improvement. Extensions are a real innovation. The hardware is beautiful. But underneath the polish, Apple is a company that failed at AI, paid $250 million for that failure, hired Google to fix it for $1 billion a year, and is now putting a disclaimer on its most important feature saying they are not responsible for what happens to your data. They called it All Systems Glow. But some of that glow is covering cracks that Apple hopes you will not look at too closely. This fall, when iOS 27 lands on your iPhone, you will have real choices for the first time. Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT. Choose wisely. Read the privacy policies. And remember the 5 things Apple did not tell you. Thursday on Nexus Point, EN, we trace the hidden infrastructure pipeline behind Apple's AI from your iPhone to Google's servers. Saturday right here, we ask the bigger question, what does AI remember about you?